moves to get them ready for this upcoming season. But what are they going to do going forward? Well, tonight we break down the position that Jet fans are absolutely dying to make a major impact at, about as big a need as this team might just have right now. We are going to break down the top 15 wide receivers available in the 2026 NFL Draft. That's right. We're going to rank them 15-1. How's it going to turn out? Let's get into it, guys. You know what's up. It's 7 p.m. It's Wednesday night, and we are live. And well, welcome everybody to New York Sports Wicker Media on Watts UK 99. Thank you as always for joining me for our weekly Wednesday night live extravaganza. Glad you are here. Hope everybody is having a fantastic week. So, a couple things. We are here every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Set your reminders so you know when we're going live. Share with a friend, like, please subscribe, all that good stuff if you haven't already. Appreciate everybody's support. So like I said, we are going to get into the wide receiver position. My plan, we've got 6 shows, including tonight, before the NFL draft happens. And every single week, I plan to do a show breaking down one major position of Jets need. Now, there's a few people out there who are going to think right away, are you going to break down kickers? We might just do that. At some point, we might talk about a couple of kickers, but yeah, we'll figure that out. But if only the Jets' biggest need was replacing Nick Folk right about now. It's like, we had a new chandelier in a haunted house is basically what we had, having Nick Folk on the 2025 New York Jets. All right, guys, so we're going to get into the football in just a minute. But first of all, there's some things going on in the world of sports that I'm going to get into. I got some things on my mind. Let's talk about what's on my mind in a segment that we like to call 3 and Out. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the World Baseball Classic. Great tournament. Probably the best one I think there's ever been. I think it got the most attention that it's ever had. And good on Venezuela for winning it. The United States consistently through the tournament, they got to the final, but their lineup just wasn't there. It was not good enough. And they're getting embarrassed by Eduardo Rodriguez, basically a 500 career pitcher. That lineup was completely susceptible to left-handed starting pitchers. One of the USA's best hitters was Gunnar Henderson. They benched him because he's a lefty. They played Byron Buxton, who didn't have a hit, I think, the entire tournament in center field. And Aaron Judge, I got to spend a second on Aaron Judge. Now, I'm not a Yankee fan, but I respect Aaron Judge. I don't really have anything against the man. But he was in a no-win situation, because if he failed in the final game, which he did, 0-for-4 with 3 strikeouts, well, it justifies his critics saying, well, he never comes through in a big spot. If he succeeds, they say, well, he did it there, but October is where it really matters. So, yeah, Judge is in a rough spot, and the only way he's going to change the perception of him, again, one of the most talented players we've seen in many, many years. But if he is going to establish himself as one of the best ever, ultimately he's got to have a big October. And I hate to say the Yankees would have to win the World Series, but it might have to come to that. The best thing Judge really did in this tournament was his defense with that throwing arm that he has. It is electric. Number 2, the New York Knicks. 4 straight victories. They thump Indiana at the Garden Tuesday night, 136-110. That's without Jalen Brunson in the lineup, by the way. Josh Hart, career-high 33 points. Knicks remain 1 game back of Boston in the Atlantic Division, so they're still in the number 3 spot in the Eastern Conference overall. Knicks are at Brooklyn on Friday. Basically, it's another home game and a guaranteed victory. We got the great David D here. Although the U.S. lost the game, we did capture Maduro. That's right. And as my friend Nick Shine said, that's 2 victories the U.S. gave Venezuela. And I don't know if he came up with that, if he heard it from somewhere, but he's absolutely right. And then the NCAA tournament. It's technically underway now. If you want to look at the first 4 as being the beginning of the tournament, it really starts on Thursday. That's when the juices start to flow. That's when the excitement happens. I am bummed, of course, that NC State is already out, losing on a last second shot, really. 1.1 seconds left. They lose to Texas, so I am disappointed in that. But this Eastern region is loaded. Duke, St. John, UConn, Kansas, it's loaded. But I'll tell you this. I'm not going to tell you how to fill out your brackets, but I'll tell you this. If I had a bid on one team making it to the Final Four, it's Arizona coming out of the West. They're healthy. There's a lot of one seeds who have some injured players, some injured key contributors. Duke and Michigan come to mind immediately. But Arizona's healthy, and you don't really have a lot of credible threats in that region. I think the Wildcats get to the Final Four. Who else is in that? I mean, Arkansas is a 4, Wisconsin's a 5, and they got a tough first-round matchup against High Point. If you're looking for an upset special, you might want to watch High Point. I'm not just saying that because they're in the state of North Carolina. But my Final Four picks, as of right now, I'm going Arizona, and then I'm going with number 2 seeds, which is not something that happens very often. It's rare that you get more than 1-2 seed advancing to the Final Four, but I'm picking UConn, Iowa State, and Houston, who is hosting, by the way, the Sweet 16 of the Elite 8 in the South region. Houston basically could be playing at home. I'm going to pick 3 2 seeds and a 1 seed to get to the Final Four. All right, so I'm keeping this as a very brief 3 and out because the truth is we got a whole lot of Jet stuff to get into, ladies and gentlemen. So you know what? It's funny. As we get more and more removed, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling more excited. As the weather starts to warm up, you start to feel just a little bit of optimism, even if deep down you're probably going to be heartbroken by the time October rolls around. But right now, we have the right to be excited, so we got a chant in us. Everybody, say it proud, say it loud, let it go! Jets, 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 Jets. All right, so what is going on in the world of New York Jets and around the Jets as well? Let's get into some Jets news. First of all, happy trails to Bryce Huff, who this was pretty shocking, retired last week at just 27 years old, getting out while healthy. And think about it. Joe Douglas found him as an undrafted free agent. Another good thing Joe Douglas did. Had 10 sacks in his last year with us. 4 years with the Jets. Once he was really healthy and he got over his back issues that kind of hampered him his second year, he really started to emerge. And by the time that 4th year came around, he had become a very, very popular New York Jet. And I remember defending Bryce Huff very early on in his career. I felt he was the best pure pass rusher that the Jets had on that roster at the time. And I believe that proved to be true. I really had to fight off some critics. And in his last 2 years with the Jets, 13 and a half sacks, 31 quarterback hits. But here's the interesting thing about Bryce Huff. He never played more than 51% of defensive snaps in a season in his 6 years with the Jets, with the Eagles, with the 49ers. Never played more than 51% of defensive snaps. My theory on what happened, he saw all the ex-Jets were going to Robert Saleh in Nashville, and he just didn't want to move to Nashville. So he got out, and now he's getting involved in batteries, like a startup battery company. So Bryce Huff, all the best to you going forward. And then we got to spend a minute here on the Jalen Waddle trade. This was the big news of the day. The Dolphins are absolutely tearing their team apart. It's like the 99 Bulls just take out all the championships. And you basically have the Dolphins tear down. They've gotten rid of they brought in a quarterback, and they got nobody for him to play with outside of a running back. But they get rid of Hill. Now they get rid of Jalen Waddle. They got rid of their I don't think Darren Waller's coming back. I think he was on a 1-year deal. I mean, who's he throwing the ball to? Malik Washington and Terrace Marshall? I mean, Malik Willis signed for third. It's funny. Malik Willis said he thought he'd be committing career suicide, by signing with the New York Jets. How you feeling now, Malik? How's that Dolphin offense looking for you now? And I know Miami's going to be targeting a wide receiver in the draft. So we know that's going to be part of it. And now they have 2 first-rounders. Okay, and that new first-round pick is at number 30. It's the Broncos pick. So that does bear watching. Jets and Dolphins, it could be a situation where the Jets draft their wide receiver, the Dolphins draft their wide receiver, and it becomes like O'Brien and Marino at quarterback. It becomes like a head-to-head thing. Which one's better? Which one's better? We go back and forth. We're watching the other receiver, who made the right draft pick. It's going to be very interesting to watch. But another thing that's very interesting to watch is the situation with the Denver Broncos wide receiver room. Think about how deep that room is. Jalen Waddle, you add him to Cortland Sutton, Pat Bryant, who's going into his second year, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin. Could one of those last two be on their way out? You can only pay so many wide receivers, and yes, some of them are very young. But Troy Franklin, going into his third year, didn't have the best season. Maybe he's, the Broncos are open to trading him. And I put it this way. If I have my choice with Troy Franklin and Brian Thomas, I'll take my chances with Brian Thomas. I think Franklin's just a little bit more flammable. I don't know. I just feel a little bit better with Brian Thomas. But again, who knows if the Broncos are willing to explore a trade. The great Jets Mess is here. Wicker. Hey, Mess, how you doing? Hope you're having a good week, buddy. Appreciate you hanging out with us tonight for sure. And then we got to get to the other piece of news, and that, of course, is Justin Fields. So speaking of trades, a lot of us thought that Fields would hang around a little bit longer. I don't think most people expected him to be gone. Maybe around the draft he might go, but he didn't even make it to St. Patrick's Day. The Jets trade Fields to Kansas City. And to be honest with you, if you had told me the Jets were trading Justin Fields to Kansas City, I would have settled for a couple of slabs of ribs and a couple of pounds of burnt ends. And I'd have been a happy watch UK99. But no, the Jets get a draft pick, a 6th-round pick in 2027, and that is going to be it's expected to be a better draft class than what we have in 2026. The expectation was Fields would be a post-June 1st cut, and because the Jets traded him, they saved some money. So Fields had $10 million guaranteed. The Chiefs take on $3 million of that, so the Jets are paying him $7 million. So think about it. The idea was the Jets would be paying Justin Fields $10 million this year. Instead, they pay Fields $7 million, and they pay Geno Smith $3 million because they got him to redo his contract. Not bad. Now, the one down thing about it, it's a $19 million dead cap hit that the Jets have to take on for Justin Fields. The way that works is it's $7 million that is still there. Plus, the Jets still have to pay his signing bonus, which is $12 million. All right? So it's $19 million in dead cap. That brings the total dead cap to this season to $110 million. And think about it. Now, the Jets are going to be out of pretty much all of this money by next year. But you still have dead cap hits for players that you trade, which is interesting. You still have a big dead cap hit for Sauce, a big one for Quinnen. But the two biggest by far are Aaron Rodgers, I think, at $35 million, and Justin Fields at $19 million. So that's about half of it right there. But the good news is the Jets do save $4 million overall. They have no ties to Fields after 2026. You throw in the draft choice, and it's another very good trade job by Darren Muji. And that's about I think it's his 12th trade in just about one calendar year on the job. So when I say a good job, it's certainly not for the signing itself. I mean, it was probably the worst move that the Jets made last offseason. The Jets basically, when you do the math, when you calculate this all out, the Jets are paying Justin Fields $27 million for 9 starts. Now think about it, okay? You can look at it this way, $3 million per game he starts. I wish I could get paid $3 million a day, even if it was only for 9 days. I take my chances the rest of my life. But 9 starts, by the way, only 2 of which were good. 2. And the Jets went 2-7 in those 9 games. And I got to say, there is one thing that bothers me. Now, I've been more of an Aaron Glenn defender compared to some other people who put out content. But I do find it funny. Some people, they blame Aaron Glenn for the Fields signing. But now they're giving Muji the credit for the trade. It's like people are allergic to giving Aaron Glenn credit for everything. I can't blame Glenn for the signing, but then credit Muji for the trade. I still believe the two work hand in hand. Okay, I don't want to hear about the rumors that Mike Francesa broke out this week. How Muji's got more power and Fields he doesn't have as much power anymore. Okay. It's a reliable source that I have. And the source says that Glenn is going to do it. Is going to not be in power much longer. And I can't blame him because he was a terrible coach. And Muji's going to hang around a little bit longer. And I'm sorry, I gotta go. I got a tea time. We'll see you later. So no, I'm not buying any of that. I'm just not going to buy that. But think about here's what's interesting. Next year, It's Jets and Chiefs. Jets go to Kansas City. That is a game. Now, a lot of people do say, what's the big deal about when the schedule gets released? We already know the opponents. This is one of those games when the schedule comes out, that might be the first game that I'm looking at. Where does that fall in the schedule? Because who knows when Patrick Mahomes is not only going to be back from his torn ACL, but be at 100%. The earlier, the better, because can you imagine the Justin Fields revenge game? Now, I know the Sam Darnold revenge game in Carolina, that didn't go too well for the Jets, but I'll take my chances going against Justin Fields, okay? And one more thing about cap space, and I wanted to end the section on this note, all right? Oh, by the way, Justin Fields, we do have to do one little thing to say au revoir to just another disappointing quarterback. Like I said, 9 starts, basically he made $27 million. I have never seen a quarterback so afraid to throw the ball, but he gave us those little glimpses of brilliant athleticism. Just a downright disappointment. No other way to say it. So Justin Fields, all the best to you in your future endeavors. But as far as you being a New York Jet is concerned,
he gone!
He gone! See you later, Justin. All right. And I want to say a quick thank you to the great David. Here's your signing bonus. Go New York Jets. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate it very, very much. That'll get me down the street with the way gas prices are going up, right? Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. So, yeah, this is the breakdown of the cap. So, Rodgers, $35 million. Fields, $19 million. Sauce and Quinnen come next. Can you believe the Jets are still paying C.J. Mosley? Man, they're gonna be paying him longer than the Mets are gonna be paying Bobby Bonilla. Michael Carter, Quincy Williams, Alan Lazard, John Simpson, Andre Cisco. I got to check if Cisco is still a dead cap hit now that they signed him back. That's interesting. But Tyrod Taylor, Malachi Corley, and Carter Warren. Oh my God! The fact that they owe Corley and Warren even a nickel, it's absolutely comical. So $110 million was the latest that I saw. That was the dead cap situation after the Fields release. But if you look at the total cap space, $159.3 million. Crazy how much they're going to have to work with next year as that cap just continues to rise. Now, they're going to have, I think about 15 free agents, right around 15. So you'll have to be signing a lot of players, but with all those draft choices, that's going to help. And here's another thing. For 2027, the Jets have only 6 players with a cap hit of over $8.8 million. So 2027, only 6 players cap it over 8.8. Think about who these 6 players are. Garrett Wilson, makes sense. Jamian Sherwood, which, as I say that, a few Jet fans want to throw up in their mouths. Minka Fitzpatrick, who they just got. Brandon Stevens, Joseph Asai, who they just got, and DeMario Davis, who they just signed. So 3 of those players weren't even on the team last season. Pretty interesting how that works out. That's right. Yep. Cheers to you, my friend. I will be taking down plenty of Yingling. I will be in Virginia Beach this weekend at the Yingling Shamrock Races. I will be running the 5-miler. I don't know if I'll be setting any personal records. I have not really been able to train the way I typically would want to for different reasons. But I will give it my best, hoping to do it in under 40 minutes, which I've pretty much always been able to run a sub 8-minute mile. At my best, I could have done. I did 7, right around 7 minutes in my prime, but that was a few years ago. That was about 10 years ago when I was pulling that off. So I will be there. So not having any beer tonight. Avoiding the beer. Basically, going a week without really drinking anything like any of that because I'll be saving up for all the Yingling I'll be drinking Saturday post race, and believe me, it will be lots of it. Lots of Yingling. Beer is cheaper than gas. This is true. It's amazing. At this rate, wine's going to be cheaper than gas. The local place where I go, it's like $3.69. I think Costco's $3.29 where I live. So thankfully, I have an app that lets me get a little bit of money back, so I can put that towards gift cards. So it's better than nothing. Hey, Billy SBC, how you doing? Yep, Andy Dalton to the Eagles. Yep, that came down today. And from what I'm hearing, that does not necessarily mean that Tanner McKee is on the trade market. It's still going to take a good amount to bring him to pry him loose from Philadelphia. But I'll tell you what, Philadelphia is trying to load up behind Jalen Hurts, and as good as he's been for them, at times it's Tanner McKee and Andy Dalton. They're trying to have as deep a quarterback room as they can. But yeah, Dalton might have made a little sense. Worked with Frank Reich before, as I remember. But yeah, that is one less backup quarterback option that the Jets have to pursue. At the end of the day, maybe it will be Geno Smith, Tyrod Taylor, and a draft choice. It could become that. Can't say I'd love it, but it could get to that level. Scott, remember the bumper sticker, ass, grass, or gas? Nobody rides for free. Well, now it's just gas. It's painful, guys, because now that I got a Subaru, I've got a Crosstrek now, and I've driven compacts all my life. Honda Civics, Honda Accords, Hyundai Elantras. This is the biggest car I've ever had, the biggest gas tank I've ever had. And I had $50. I don't think I ever in my life had to pay $50 for gas before. If I did, it might have been a little stretch in Chicago during maybe the recession, but that was it. But yeah, it has been a long time since I had to pay $50 to fill up my tank. And when you're driving 65 to 70 miles a day for work, it's not easy. It is not easy at all. But we do what we got to do. You got to do what you got to do to survive, and you just be thankful to be working at the same time, right? Find gratitude in the midst of the discomfort somehow. Billy, track is definitely the hardest sport. Nothing is as grueling as that sport. The one way we can make track harder, let's say a defense. They put a BB gun, a guy with a BB gun about halfway down. Let's see. I don't know. I was never a track guy, so I can't really say. I didn't even start running until my 30s, so my early 30s. So yeah, I hear amateur wrestling is brutally hard because you got to deal with the weight also, which is brutally hard to do. You go through hell trying to make weight doing that, but at least it's over pretty quick. So, Billy, Jets go wide receiver at number 2. Are you mad? I wouldn't love it. I wouldn't necessarily understand it. If that was a situation, I'd be like, could we have traded down? Yeah, they go wide receiver at 16. Of course, I'm good with it. But and we'll get into all the wide receivers in a little bit. But I do expect that the big 3 will be off the board by the time the Jets pick at 16. If they traded up a few spots for a wide receiver, I wouldn't mind that. But at number 2, I don't know if I would take one of those receivers over Orville Reese or Sonny Styles. I don't know if I would. I'll put it this way. You'll see as I get into this, this is a deep wide receiver class. I feel very, very good. The Jets are going to get at least 1 and maybe 2 very good receivers. Like last year when the Raiders brought a couple guys, Jack Beck, Dante Thornton, they brought a couple guys. I could see the Jets doing basically the same thing. Oh, David going hard tonight. Another $2 for the Subaru. Yeah, David, just for you. David, just for you. Here you go. And David, I'm just kidding. I didn't have a special teams thing planned tonight, but David, I'm doing this for you for 2 super chats.
Storybox Audio.
All right. So we got a little banjo in tonight. There we go. Yeehaw! All right. Yeah, $159.3 million. Yeehaw! There we go. All right. Okay, so we keep going. Let's go on to some re-signings. Jets brought back a bunch of players, and let's give them a little bit of love. First of all, Michael Walker, the linebacker, had just 194 snaps on defense last year, but a big help on special teams. I think he was one of those sneaky under the radar players that Chris Banjo really used to have a really good special teams unit. Guys like Andrew Beck, guys like Stone Smart. I thought they really, really contributed on special teams. It takes more than just kickers and returners to make a good special teams unit. So I'm glad Walker came back, and he was really the third linebacker once McCurry Ball went down. He was linebacker 3 after Quincy and Jamian. So I am glad that he is back. Eagle Fang 86. How you doing? He if it wasn't for Alan, or as I used to call him, Alon. He Eagle Fang, he makes you look positive, I gotta say. Who won the Dolphins and Broncos trade with Waddle? These picks are lottery tickets. I would say the Broncos did. And I got to be honest, I wasn't the biggest believer in Jalen Waddle until last year, and I thought he stepped up his game a little bit more with Tyreek Hill out for the season. Because that first-round pick, so just to recap, the teams exchanged fourth-round picks, and the Dolphins get a first and a third. But remember, that first-round pick is number 30 overall. So it's a little bit in the back, and what are the odds they're going to get a player as good as Jalen Waddle? It's not enormous. It's really not that enormous. The Dolphins gave themselves additional lottery tickets, and that's what draft picks are. So let's see what winds up happening. But, yeah, I think this is a great move for the Broncos. I really do. And Bo Nix, I think Bo Nix was about the happiest person in America today to bring him in, because that wide receiver room, like we talked about before right now, is stacked 1 through 5. It is fantastic. Then we bring back Xavier Newman. All-around interior offensive line backup. Doesn't it feel like Newman's been here longer than anybody aside from Thomas Hennessy, the long snapper? I feel like Newman's been here like 6 years. With like Quinnen gone, it's like Newman's been here like a while now. So he comes back, and that gives the Jets some very good depth on the interior offensive line. You have Joe Tippmann. You have Dylan Parham at guards. You have Josh Myers. You have Xavier Newman. I still would like to see them bring in somebody else who can play center to push Myers for that starting role. Let's see if it winds up happening. I don't know, but we're going to get into interior offensive line as the weeks go on. Okay, then we go to Chukwuma Okorafor, the backup offensive tackle who was not good in the preseason last year. By the grace of God, we never had to see him play. And let's hope again the same thing happens, that Olu and Armand play 100% of the snaps. Andre Cisco. So if there's one that's surprising, it's this one. But he gets a 1-year, $1.5 million base contract. And I will own up to it. I was excited about bringing in Cisco last year. I thought it was a good signing. God knows I was wrong. He wasn't good in coverage. He wasn't good in tackling. But we got to be fair. The whole defense outside of Juwan Briggs seemed to take a step back. So maybe it was the defense. Maybe with Aaron Glenn utilizing his superpowers, maybe Andre Cisco will be a better player than he was last year. I think he can be. He's still only 26 years old. But here's the thing that I like. Cisco has to earn his playing time this year. This was the time in his career Cisco should have been getting a multi-year contract had things been getting better for him. But you add Minka Fitzpatrick. You add Dane Belton. You still have Malachi Moore. Right now, to me, Cisco is number 4 on the depth chart. He's going to have to earn every snap he gets. He should have a fire lit up under his ass so high it should look like a volcano. So Cisco's got a ton to prove this year, and if he plays, he will have earned it. He won't be playing just because he was the starter last year. So that should give us some optimism. He isn't a player that the Jets need, but if he plays well, we can look at that as a bonus. We've got Chris BC BNY Jets fan. Hey, everybody, hope all is well. Go Jets, like, support, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate the kind words. Appreciate the positive support spirit. Really do appreciate it. But, yeah, we're good. Glad that I've only got one more day of work tomorrow before I get a 3-day weekend and get a little R&R and get away from that office. Oh, my gosh. Billy, they'll probably draft a center somewhere in this draft. Yeah, I agree with that. This is not a class where you have like a center who's expected. You don't have a Linderbaum. You don't have a Mangold, in this class. Rest in peace. But maybe with one of the second-round picks, it's something that might make sense. So as we get more into that, we can come up with more of a strategy. All right. And then, of course, there's one more re-signing we have to talk about. And if you've been here for any decent length of time, you know how much I've always loved this kid. Kenny Nwangwu, I was a champion for him over a year ago. What a deal this was. 1 year, $2 million, $3 million max. I would have liked 2 years. Didn't happen. But Nwangwu, who, believe it or not, Nwangwu is 28 years old. So he was drafted by the Vikings out of Iowa State in 2021, 4th round. In 5 NFL seasons, 51 games, he has 5 kick return touchdowns. That's the most among active players. That gives him an average of 1 kick return touchdown every 10 games. That's it may not be Devin Hester, but it's pretty freaking outstanding. And he's been even better than that since coming to the Jets. And last year, he had averaged 33.6 yards per return. That was number 1 for kick returners in the NFL with at least 10 attempts. So the Jets bringing back the core of their special teams unit. At this point, it's just really a matter of figuring out what they're going to do at kicker. It really is. So I don't expect Cade York, to be the starting kicker. And if he is, well, he'll definitely have to have earned it, or the competition would have just been that bad. But again, don't be surprised if the Jets kicker week 1 isn't on the roster even, I would say, midway through the exhibition season. I could see them picking up a kicker who shakes loose during cuts at some point. So, yeah, so that's why the reason I'm not worried about Cade York. Eagle Fang, predictions of how much the tickets will be when the Jets play the Dolphins for the number 1 pick. Well, if the game's in Miami, it'll probably cost more. Yeah, and put it this way, would it be funny? Would it really surprise anybody? Eagle, you make a good point. Would it shock anybody if the league, because last week of the season, it's always division opponent versus division opponent. Can't you see them putting Jets, Dolphins, week 18 with the expectation that the loser of that game gets the number 1 overall pick? The NFL's got that in mind. The Jets do this ridiculous thing where you say, all right, predict our schedule. Here's our opponents. Put them in order. It is the most ridiculous exercise ever because it is impossible to do. I can't even pick the networks that these games are going to be on. I can't even do that. But I would bet you Jets Dolphins week 18. And hopefully that game would be in Miami. Let the Jets go down there when it's nice, when it's a little bit cooler outside. If that's the case, I got to be honest, I could see people having like a morbid curiosity to watch that Drek. Now, if you're asking me, do I think it's going to happen? I really don't. I think the Jets are not going to be a bottom 5. I think Arizona's worse. I think Miami's worse. I think Indianapolis could actually still be pretty bad. I don't doubt that. Yeah, I got to give the NFC South credit. They've gotten better. They've gotten a little bit better with time. I don't think Cleveland's going to be any good. So there's a couple of teams right there. But it could very well be both teams are in the bottom 5. But I got to say, I think it's much more likely Miami's in the bottom 5 than the Jets. How concerned are you with the Jets backfield after Breece Hall? I'm not. I'm a big Braylon Allen fan. Been a Braylon Allen fan since before the Jets drafted him. I love that power running back. All right, that injury was a fluke injury because he was kick returning. And you get a little bit of a better, I think now that you had Dylan Parham, who's a better run blocker than John Simpson, I think that will help him. And this is another reason, guys, why I want to upgrade at center. Josh Myers is not a good run blocking center. And Allen needs to use the middle of that field. So I'm really hoping for a good run blocking center to come in at some point. And I think that's really going to help. I think Isaiah Davis is a more than capable third running back. I'm not telling you he's anything special. Most teams have their own Isaiah Davis, but he's more than capable. You had Kenny as the 4th running back. Guys, I feel very good about the Jets backfield. I really do. Yeah, and I'm a Braylon believer. I make no apologies about that. So you think about where this defense has gone and how they just basically overhauled everything. I look at their starters week 1. Defensive line, Will McDonald, Quinnen Williams, Harrison Phillips, Jermaine Johnson. 2 of the 4 are still here. Linebacker, Quincy Williams, Jamian Sherwood. 1 still here. Secondary, Sauce Gardner, Brandon Stevens, Michael Carter II, Andre Sisco, and Tony Adams. 2 of them are back, and 1 may not even be starting. Also throw in that Michael Clemens is gone. And you replace them with a combination of Joseph Asai and Kingsley Enagbari, David Onyemata, Demario Davis, the combination of Jarvis Brownlee and Nashawn Wright, and then you added safety Minka Fitzpatrick and Dane Belton, and you get rid of Steve Wilkes. I don't know what Brian Duker is, but I know Steve Wilkes had a history of being terrible. Okay, one and done. It's hard for me to imagine how this defense cannot be a good deal better than it was last year. And then we know there's going to be at least 1 or 2 pieces coming in from the draft who will be able to contribute right away. Whether it's Reese, whether it's Styles, whether it's Bailey, I strongly believe one of those 3 will be here. And I can see another one coming in. I can see them going secondary in the second round. It's very, very possible. But 5 starters remain from last year's defense. And clearly the Jets were adding size. They were adding toughness. The thing with those new front seven players that we talked about, they are excellent run stoppers. All of them. Okay? Osai, Anibari, Onyemata, Davis. All four of them. And the Jets were basically at the bottom of the league in pretty much every defensive rushing metric. They were 29th in rushing yards allowed, for one thing. And then I want to say one thing about Geno Smith. Because I think the fighting has died down a little bit, at least for right now, because there have been news stories. I want to say one thing positive about Geno. He remains an accurate quarterback, and to me, accuracy is one thing you cannot teach. You could make an arm stronger. You could teach a quarterback how to make reads, but it's hard to make a quarterback significantly more accurate. But if you look at the last 4 years, he has a 68.2 completion percentage. That's fourth among qualified passers. As a career passer, he's completed 65.2% of his passes. Believe it or not, that would rank second on the Jets' all-time list, only behind Chad Pennington, the true GOAT. All right? What worries you is the turnovers. Smith has 52 interceptions and has taken 182 sacks. That's more than any quarterback over the last 4 years. Now, we do know that offensive line in Vegas had a lot to do with that. Geno had basically next to no chance with that offense. Chip Kelly basically hung him out to dry. So, Eagle fan. I'm a very good friend with the Saints LSU fan this season, Demario Davis. He has had major issues in pass defending, and he's 1 year older coming back to the Jets. Jets drafted Sonny at number 2. Is it a good idea? Yeah, the metrics, I would say this. The metrics on the pass coverage have diminished a little bit for Davis, but that's one reason I like him playing in the 3-4. I think it was shaking for a minute. Yeah, I think the camera was shaking for a minute. Yeah, okay. So, but he's still a very, very good run stopper. And he actually had a career high in tackles last season. I think it was 143 tackles that he had. So he could still play. You just don't necessarily want to get him, like one-on-one with, say, a running. Put it this way. If Davis is one-on-one with Devon Achane, I might be a bit worried. Okay. But I think considering what the Jets needed, how they desperately needed leadership, how they needed that veteran presence, I understand why they did it. I was very interested in Alex Anzalone. A lot of us were. But, with the opportunity to bring Davis back, somebody who knows the New York Jets, somebody who knows Aaron Glenn, I do understand. So hopefully, I know it's going to be a fantastic signing for off the field. I hope the on the field just comes somewhat close to it. I really do. But I'll tell you this, I think Jamin Sherwood will be a far better player for having worked with Demario Davis. That gives me a whole lot of happiness. Because Sherwood doesn't have to call plays anymore. He doesn't have to be the quarterback of the defense. You got Minka, you got Davis to do that. All these pieces are coming together. And that's why I'm starting to feel pretty good. Okay, guys, let's get into – man, this show's flying already. All right. The Rangers are playing the Devils right now. Gavrikov with the goal. There you go. 1-0 Rangers. Okay. There you go. All right, guys. So we are going to – and as far as Sonny Styles goes, he would be past Reese. He is my second choice. I would take him over David Bailey. I just think David Bailey is way too one-dimensional. I know that'll offend certain people who are huge Bailey defenders. I just see him like – the way that Robbie Sable broke down the way that each of them take on contact, Reese does, and Bailey really doesn't do it so much. I'm looking for the better edge player, not just a pure edge rusher. Okay, I want an all-around player who brings as many strengths as possible, and I think Reese is only going to get better. I just don't have a great feeling about Bailey. But if the Jets want to go Sonny Styles, I'm here for it. I would be here for it. I do wonder then, you're feeling good about a team that will win 5 games. A lot of people thought they'd win maybe 2. I'm not saying – now, put it this way, Mess. If I was saying this team is going to contend for the playoffs, that'd be different, okay? I'm not saying that. I am not going to say that. But I'm feeling better that it's going to be a competitive team. And there were too many times they just weren't, or they just found ridiculous ways to lose. Whether it was they couldn't stop the run. Put it this way. I'm confident they're going to get more than 1 interception next season. Maybe they will only win 5 games. Maybe. But you know what? There's a fine line. It's a very fine line between teams that win 6 games and 10 games. So often it's just finding ways to win, taking advantage of mistakes, not beating yourself, different things like that. I think the Jets are at the point where they could be in that range, depending on how Geno really plays. But I feel much better about the defense. I feel good about the running game. I don't have any doubt that this is going to be a better team. Plus, you had Garrett miss half the season last year. That didn't exactly help matters. So I think we've weeded out a lot of very negative influences off this team. So I do feel better. I definitely believe this is going to be a better team than it was last year. Eagle Figs got him a 2-3 game, 2-3 wins, depending how the draft goes. Depending if the draft goes 4-6. Okay. Yeah, we still got a little ways to go before we do that. Hey, Jets are going to bring in another quarterback, so we'll see what that looks like. I think most people who feel this way are just really that down on the head coach, and he still has a lot to prove, without question. But the Jets have certain holes that do need to be filled, and I don't think there's a bigger hole to fill right now than wide receivers. So what we're going to do right now, you like that transition? The top 15 wide receivers in the NFL draft. I'm going to break them down for you. And here's one of the things about Garrett Wilson. He has spent about a third of his career snaps in the slot, but last year, Tanner Eckstrand used him in the slot 40% of the time. How's Frank Reich going to use him? Inside or outside? The thing is, with Garrett's route running ability, if you put him in the slot, you get him away from press coverage, and he can work through the middle. So one of the things is I really want to get an X receiver. I want somebody who can play outside. If you're a slot receiver primarily, I don't really have a whole heck of a lot of interest in you for this team. All right. That's one of the main things, sort of the caveat as we get into the list. Jets worldwide. The Jet faithful never let you down. Hey, always loyal, always passionate, and always honest. And I got all the respect in the world for that. Eagle Fang reports came out today. The Dolphins and Jets were the biggest teams that raved about Drew Aller. How shocked would you be if he was drafted at 60? I would be shocked if he goes in the first 2 rounds. Shocked, I tell you. Yeah, I don't have a very good feeling on Drew Aller. If we're talking 4th round, we could have a conversation. But 1st round or even 2nd round, no. Way too much of a project. Way too much. Rusty, Carnell Tate and Chris Bell are the 2 best wide receivers in this class 100%. Well, I will talk about these 2 particular gentlemen, and we'll see where I have them. Do I have them at 1-2? I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. We'll find out. Now, I know the list says top 15, but you know what? Who's counting? I'm going to give you a couple of honorable mentions. And 1 or 2 of these names might surprise you. Josh Cameron is number 1. I'm really giving you 19 names tonight, guys. That's right. We're not just talking 1st round, 2nd. We're going deep, baby. Josh Cameron from Baylor, 6'1", 223 pounds. And I'm going to give you their measurables, height, weight, and I'm going to give you their stats from 2025. And plus their pros, their positives, their weaknesses, strengths, weaknesses, and where I would have them projected to go in the draft. So that's what we're going to do. So Cameron at Baylor University, 69 catches, 872 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Long frame, big catch radius, very, very strong. And he's got some speed too. What I do like is he gets off press coverage well, and he has just a 4% drop rate. That's pretty good. He's also got some return experience. His route running is very, very raw. He runs a very limited route tree, and he doesn't have sharp breaks in his routes. He tends to round off those routes, and the best receivers have that ability to make those snap quick movements and get open. So he still needs some coaching when it comes to his technique, but you have some very good intangibles there. I got a 5th round grade on Josh Cameron. Then we go to Zachariah Branch. Now, Mel Kiper's got him ranked like in his top 5, 6 wide receivers. I think that's a little bit over the top. Okay. 5'9", 180 pounds, 81 catches, 811 yards, 6 touchdowns. He has game-breaking speed. No doubt about it. He was a state track champion in the 100-meter, 200-meter, and the long jump. If you're looking for a return presence, you can get it from him. All right, he's a special teams weapon. If Chris Banjo got his hands on him, oh boy. But right now, Branch can only do so much. He does most of his damage on screens, okay? And one thing with Frank Reich, he likes wide receivers who can get separation on those intermediate routes, those 10 to 20-yard routes. Branch has not really shown an ability to do that, but he's got that rare burst. That upside is very, very high, very good body control. All of that is very, very good. But right now, you're really looking at a gadget player. Okay, his quickness, his speed, his athleticism can take him places. But again, with that height and as raw as he is, the limited route tree, I don't think it really makes sense for the Jets to get aggressive on him. I've got a 5th-round grade on him. But if you have a wide receiver room that doesn't need to use him right away, that could use it more in a gadget role, you might want to take him a little bit higher than that. So that's Zachariah Branch. Hey, Greg Rollo, how you doing? LFG Jets. You know it, my man. You know it. And then we get into Brennan Thompson from Mississippi State. Okay, this is another 5'9" player, but whereas Branch is 180 pounds, this guy's only 164 pounds. I mean, my God, he weighs less than I do. Oh, my gosh. 57 catches this year, 1,054 yards, 6 touchdowns. I thought this was a cool stat. Played at Mississippi State. He is the first wide receiver ever to play at Mississippi State to lead the SEC in receiving yards for a full season. That's pretty cool. Super, super fast, and that includes his play speed. He ran a 4.26 40-yard dash at the combine. Right now, he's really a vertical threat and nothing else. I got around 4 to 5 grade on him, about the same thing as Zachariah Branch. Really, I think those two are very, very similar. I probably put Branch just ahead of Thompson. And then you go to Antonio Williams from Clemson, 5'11", 190 pounds, 55 catches, 611 yards, 4 touchdowns. This is a slot receiver. Operating the slot 90% of the time with the Tigers, can return punts. He has good speed, not elite speed. Again, he bends off his routes a little bit too much. And again, I'm just not looking at primary slot wide receivers. I got a day 3 grade on Antonio Williams. I've seen some people put him in their top 15. I got him just outside that level. All right, quick swig of water for the working man and woman. All right, and let's start that countdown. So at number 15, I've got a guy that I feel like some people know about, but he's kind of flying under the radar as well. Number 15 is Bryce Lance from North Dakota State. Now, Bryce Lance, I told you I was looking for an X receiver. 6'3", 204 pounds. If you like the relative athletic score metric, the RAS, 9.95, that's close to perfect. Now, his 25 career stats, I've got him on the bottom for everybody. 51. Let me see if I can put this down here. Yeah, I'll just cover up the draft logo. Who cares? 25 stats, 51 receptions, 1,079 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He is the younger brother of Trey Lance, and I think he's a very, very intriguing prospect. He was a redshirt senior, didn't really emerge till 2024, but in that year, 75 catches, 1,053 yards, and 17 touchdowns. 25 touchdowns in 2 years. That's pretty dang good. All right. His advanced numbers, amazing. 3.8 yards per route run, gets 7 yards of yak per reception. Only a 3.8 drop percentage, 5 drops on 170 receptions. That's really good. Here's another rating. I know it's North Dakota State, but when quarterbacks threw the ball to him, they had a passer rating of 151. Super, super good. Lance is an explosive vertical threat who takes the top off the defense. He can attack seams. Where he needs to improve is tracking the ball, that catch point positioning, learning how to high point the ball. And obviously, it's a short resume. He has basically 2 good years of football under his belt. But what he gives you is size, speed, body control, quickness. I think he's going to be a mid-round pick. I could see him going 4th round, maybe late 4th round, early 5th round. And his yak ability is fantastic. He's going to get yards after the catch. So if you're looking for sort of a mid-major target here that not a lot of people are going to know about, check out Bryce Lance, my number 15 wide receiver. We go to number 14, and we go to the University of Connecticut, and we are going to talk about Skylar Bell. So 6 foot even, 185 pounds, 101 receptions this year, 1,278 yards, 13 touchdowns. Originally, Bell played for the Wisconsin Badgers. And by the way, guys, if you have any thoughts on the players that we're talking about, feel free to throw them in the comments. Curious to see what your opinions are on these wide receivers. Now, he never really got a chance to play at Wisconsin because the offensive structure kept changing and the quarterback play was not exactly stellar. He transfers to Connecticut in 2024 and achieved career highs in every metric in his first season. 2025 takes another step forward. What I like is he can succeed in all three levels on the field. He's explosive. He's very, very energetic, runs a full route tree, can track the ball very well. Excellent yak ability as well. Now, he's really had one truly productive season, and he's a little bit older. He's going to be 24 years old as of July. So that can be an issue, but he's somebody who could step into the starting lineup right away. He can play inside. He can play outside as well. So I think Skylar Bell is pretty intriguing. I'm thinking late 4th round, early 5th round for Mr. Bell. We go to number 13. And we go back to the West Coast to USC. We're going to talk about Jacoby Lane, 6'4", 195 pounds. That's a tall, thin guy right there. So this year, 49 catches, 745 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So in 2024, he had 43 receptions, 525 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And in 2025, he was wide receiver 2 alongside Mekhi Lemon. More on Mekhi Lemon later. Now, Lane is going to succeed as sort of a catch point operator. Elite body control, amazing hamstring. Spider-Man would be proud of this hamstring, okay? He's very athletic. He's very fluid. He's flexible in the hips, which is something I always like in wide receivers and edge rushers. You know, I like fluidity. And he can find soft spots in coverage very, very well. So those things are very intriguing. Contested catches, he's excellent. He's among the best in the country at that. Where you worry is his drop rate. He does drop the ball more than you want, and he doesn't really have the short area mobility to consistently separate against press coverage. I think Lane is not going to be more than a wide receiver 2 at the NFL, but he has some very good red zone upside. I don't think he's going to be the most well-rounded wide receiver that's coming out of this class, but I definitely can see him being a quality starter. So I'm thinking 4th round for Jacoby Lane. Yeah, you'll notice there's going to be a lot of red on these slides as we go through these names. Number 12, Elijah Surratt from the University of Indiana, the national champions. 6'2", 210 pounds, 2025, 64 catches, 810 yards, and 15 touchdowns. Surratt, consistent production. That's what it comes down to. This goes back to 2022. In 2023, he eclipsed 1,000 yards with James Madison. Then he, in 2024, led the Hoosiers in catches, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. Then in 2025, has a career high in scores. And he is a deadly red zone threat, and he proved it against the highest level of competition. Now, Surratt, he can be a little bit, how do you want to say it, polarizing, a little bit frustrating. He's not the most explosive. He doesn't have the most elite acceleration that you're going to see. But he will give you the necessary foot speed, sink. He knows how to go fast and slow down to gain separation. So it can be a little tricky when, you know, the metrics that you see at a combine don't necessarily reflect that player's strengths. Okay. But he can convert. He stretches the field. He moves the chains is what I really want to say. Very good hands, great timing sense, and excellent body control. Also, he will block. He brings consistent effort. He's a smart player. But like we said, can he create separation in the pros? He's not the most athletic wide receiver, but he just manages to find ways to produce. So if you bring in Surratt, I don't know if you want to plug him in as a starter right away, but he's somebody who could become a starter. Hopefully he has the right coaching there, but he's definitely a very intelligent receiver, and that does go a long way. So I've got him round 4, but I'd probably say like early round 4 for Elijah Surratt. Rusty's a fan, very high football IQ. Yes, he does. I like that. I put Rusty up there, and boom, I pop up. There we go. And back, and now I drop. Number 11, Malachi Fields from the University of Notre Dame. 6'4", 218 pounds. This year, 36 catches, 630 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Not the biggest production that we're going to talk about tonight. But Fields was a dual-threat quarterback in high school, and when he went to the University of Virginia in 2021, he shifted to wide receiver. 2023 is when he broke out as a sophomore. 58 catches, 811 yards, 5 touchdowns. Basically, nearly replicated those numbers in 2024. 2025, he transfers over to South Bend, and then he became their deep threat. Over 17 yards per reception, a drop rate of just 1.6%. A drop rate under 2%, where do I sign up for that, right? So Fields, excellent at contested catches. He is not afraid to be physical. He likes to fight a little bit. Okay, he get a little handsy. Hopefully that doesn't lead to offensive pass interference, but he's willing to be physical and he's willing to fight. And at the Senior Bowl, that boosted his stock. His best play, though, was really a diving downfield catch. I think with his build, though, at 6'4", 218, you wonder about his vertical speed, about his ability to separate, okay? But there's really no denying that he can control the catch point with his timing, his ability to box out. He's got amazing hands, just vice grip hands, as we already discussed with that really good drop rate. And he can block for you, too. He'll be a very good run blocker. So I think he could be a rotational wide receiver early on. I'd like to see him learn how to control his body a little bit better, like, all or nothing. I'd like to see him find a happy medium. I think that would really help him become a more consistently productive wide receiver in the NFL. All right. So those are my thoughts on Malachi Fields. I've got a round 3 grade on him. I think there is an upside there, and the intangibles, it's going to be too much for some team to pass up to let him go to day 3. All right, top 10. Here we go. Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. Okay, now I like Jeremy Bernard. I don't think I like Jeremy Bernard as much as maybe a few other people out there do. So I've got him as my number 10 wide receiver, 6 foot even, 209 pounds. This year, 64 catches, 862 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Guys, by the way, I see we got a bunch of folks hanging out in the chat. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, please hit that thumbs up. Remember, if we get to 15 likes tonight, we will spin the wheel. And also, after we do the wide receiver list, we are doing Jets trivia tonight. So you're definitely going to want to hang out for that. All right. Not quite at 15 likes yet. We got a few more to go. All right. Because I feel like doing the wheel tonight. I really, really do. Okay. So with Jeremy Bernard, very wide route tree, can run just about anything you want him to run. Very good agility, good IQ, willing to go over the middle, has very strong hands, has good burst, so he's got some good yak ability, good contact balance as well. He's not very easy to tackle, and I like that too. Also a standout blocker. He's got some good strength. He could direct defensive backs right out of plays. I think his hands are his biggest strength. He catches the ball well, and he blocks well. He's willing to be physical, gets off the line well, and he actually forces quite a few missed tackles, 28 forced missed tackles over the last 2 years. I do wonder how high his ceiling is. Not a ton of speed. He's not explosive. He's never had a reception of 50 yards or more in his entire college career. Okay? His contested catch rate is not that good, only 38%. Ideally, you'd want it to be at least 45%, if not 50. I could see Bernard being a good wide receiver too, or a good slot wide receiver. Right environment, he could outproduce his draft projection. I've got a 3rd round grade on Jeremy Bernard. I could see him being a consistently good receiver. I don't see great in him though. All right, Danger Zone. Hit the likes. That's right. Hit the like. How you doing, buddy? Jeremy Chaos. You never know. Grandizer, Adams Honorable Mention, Daniel Sobkowitz from Illinois State. Oh, he's a Redbird. Yeah, there you go. Said to be this year's Jalen Coker. Okay, I haven't seen his name come up. I think I've seen it in a mock draft, but that's been about it. Okay, Daniel Sobkowitz or Sobkowitz. At least I know he's a Redbird. Hey, I'm proud of myself for at least knowing that much. Okay, number 9. Now, this one's going to be a little bit controversial. This is not the most well-known guy. Grandizer, he has to move his body right. Isn't what the gals told you when you did the stripogram? But everyone, which stripogram, Grandizer? Which one are you talking about? Anyway, my number 9 is Ted Hurst from Georgia State. Now, this is sort of my under the radar guy who I'm putting in the top 10. I just really like the raw ability, and I want to talk about him a little bit. 6'3", 206 pounds, a 9.92 RAS. This year, 71 catches, 1,004 yards, 6 touchdowns. But here's what I like. 12.6 average target depth. Last year, 17.2. 15 touchdowns in 2 years. I think he gets ignored because he went to Georgia State, okay? But he has a very imposing build, a big catch radius, long strides that get him down the field quickly. He works the intermediate range well, works the deep range very well. He can box out small defenders with his positioning, his timing, his body control. He reacts very quickly. He makes difficult catches, and I like that. Now, when you have somebody 6'3", you expect a good catch radius, but he's also got the hip fluidity and bend that I talked about that you usually find with, slot guys, with lighter guys, with shorter guys. He's got that bend. He can press defensive backs upfield, and then he can sink and retract into open spaces, okay? But when you combine the separation and the catch point profile, I think it's really appealing. He's got enough long speed to stretch the field, to threaten vertically. Plus, he's put on a little bit of weight. He was 190 pounds most of last year. Now he's around 205, 206. And these are good pounds, too. 23, here's a stat for you. He had 23 contested catches. No player in the FCS had more than him. 23 contested catches. I like that. Good yak ability, runs a wide route tree, good red zone target. Now, where you get a little worried, he hasn't worked against press as much in early contact. The hands have been a little bit inconsistent, had 6 drops this year. He's becoming more of a well-rounded receiver, I think, with each passing season. I think he's another receiver who needs good coaching, but the ceiling is very high, and I would take him on day 2. I really would. Round 3, I know the Jets don't have a third-round pick, but I think some team that is going to draft him, and they are going to be very happy that they did. Ted Hurst is the lead for Limp Bizkit. That's Fred. And I'm not even a Limp Bizkit fan, but hey, every time he catches a touchdown, they play Limp Bizkit. I'm for it. We'll be rolling. That's about the only Limp Bizkit song I know. And the only reason I did is because for a while, The Undertaker came out to the ring, when he was the American Badass. He came out to a Limp Bizkit song until they made the switch over to Kid Rock. So, guys, I see we have hit the like goal. We are at 17 likes. Fantastic job, guys. So we will be spinning the wheel a little bit later on tonight. All right, here we go. That's number 9. Let's go to number 8. Guys, buckle up, hold on tight. It's going to be a marathon session. I may have to refill the water in a little bit or get some a little stronger. My number 8 receiver is Chris Brazzell Jr. from Tennessee. I feel like it should be Brazzell, but everywhere I'm hearing it's Brazzell, which it's just a dumb-sounding last name. It's a goofy-sounding name, okay? But Chris Brazzell, that's how it's pronounced. That's how I'm going to say it. 6'4", 198 pounds. This year, 62 catches, 1,017 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Of course, the son of former Jet, great wide receiver, Chris Brazzell Sr. I only know the name because the Madden game I had him on the roster. So obviously it wasn't for very long. So Brazzell, he has the catch point skills that you would want from a 6'4" receiver. He can create vertical separation, can box out defensive backs, has great focus, amazing body control. But maybe he makes some of the best catches that I've been seen on video from these wide receivers. He had a 3.4% drop rate this year. And if you look out, there's another rate called catch rate over expectation. It's like, war in baseball. It's one of these fancy metrics or whatever. So I don't like to use it a lot, but he has a 16.5% catch rate over expectation. Basically what it means is he makes catches that he should not be making. Okay, that's the bottom line. But he's a very good vertical route runner. He moves well. He's very smooth. He glides. He doesn't look like an awkward runner. He needs to iron out his route running, not the most crisp routes that he runs. He isn't very efficient with his yards after the catch. It's like he makes the catch and he often gets tackled pretty soon after. And he's got a few driving violations on his driving record. Teams are going to have to do a little bit of due diligence on that. But if everything checks out, if he interviews well, he's got very interesting upside as a very explosive, vertical-focused wide receiver number 2. I think somebody could take a chance on him in the second round. Take a chance on me. Okay, that's the only time you'll ever hear me sing an ABBA song. Early round 3 at the latest. If he doesn't go by, say, pick 75, I'll be amazed. I would be amazed if he doesn't go by pick 75. All right. We go to number 7, and now we're going to go to a player that I've seen projected to the Jets in a couple of mock drafts. And that player is Omar Cooper. So our second wide receiver from the University of Indiana. And what we have here, obviously, he's a national champion, but he's 6 foot even, 201 pounds. He emerged ahead of Surratt as Indiana's top receiver, led the team with 58 catches, 804 yards, and 11 receiving touchdowns. Fernando Mendoza. That's the Mets bust of a prospect. Fernando Mendoza and Omar Cooper, the connection was dynamite. Cooper is a dense, compact pass catcher. He keeps a low center of gravity, explodes very quickly, can stretch the field well. He can extend as a yak threat with good range. He keeps good balance. It's not very easy to knock him down. He also has quickness. He can work through contact, very good tempo control as a route runner. So he does a lot of things very well. I can't necessarily tell you who does any one particular thing on an elite level, but a very good all-around wide receiver. He's starting to run more routes, which has been very good. Drops have been an issue on occasion, but he has been cleaning those up. His run blocking is not very good. He needs to break out of his routes a little bit cleaner. But this is a budding 3-level threat with an ability to get yards after the catch, and he can stretch the field when he needs to. It would be very interesting for me to see what offensive coordinator he winds up with and how that offensive coordinator wants to use him in his particular offense. So I've got Omar Cooper at 7, and I've got a round 2 grade on him. So, so I do think if you're looking for a high floor receiver, I think Cooper will be a solid starter. Number 6. All right, Rusty, here we go. Chris Bell. I got him higher than quite a few people do. I've seen some lists where Chris Bell's not even top 10, and I think that comes down to the ACL tear he suffered towards the end of this past season. But he's 6'2", 227 pounds, 32-inch arms, runs a 4.440. This year, 72 catches, 917 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He brings a lot. Great physique. He's very lean, play strength, playmaking range. He's quick in the short areas, and he has those long, explosive strides. He brings all of that to the table. Just a tremendous physical profile, and he could beat, slot corners, outside corners, because he has fast feet. He's very efficient on his releases, and he's willing to go over the middle. Elite yak level. He breaks in and out beautifully out of routes. Very, very quick feet. I think that's one of the things that makes him stand out from so many other wide receivers. You could use him in so many ways, and he's got great size and strength to go with it. Now, he's had a few issues with drops. Run blocking needs help as well. But I see a very capable 3-level threat in the making. I think his upside is about as high as, I don't want to say any wide receiver, but I would definitely say he has top 3 upside. I really think that. Top 3, top 4 at worst. At worst. I know there's the big 3, but I think Chris Bell, if everything comes together right for him, he could be one of the absolute top wide receivers in this class. I've got an early round 2 projection on him. I'll tell you what, if the Jets decide, if they want to go say Sonny Styles, and then, not that I would do it, but if they go, say, Ty Simpson at 16 or another edge rusher at 16, and Chris Bell, they don't have a wide receiver, Chris Bell's there at 33, I'm not making that trade, guys. I am very, very intrigued by Chris Bell. Rusty agrees, yep, he'll be healthy by May or June. They say he's healing very fast and very good. Well, glad to hear that. He got hurt, I think in November, early December. So, if he's able to play in some preseason games, then that'll be great. But I really do like Chris Bell. Number 5 is Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, formerly the North Carolina State Wolfpack. 5'11", 190 pounds. Maybe not your classic X wide receiver, but his explosiveness, I had to put him in the top 5. 57 catches, 866 yards, 9 touchdowns, in spite of very substandard quarterback play. Okay. In his first collegiate season with the Pack, caught 71 passes, 839 yards, 10 touchdowns, added 320 yards on the ground at nearly 8 yards per attempt. it was almost 1,200 yards from scrimmage. Now, his second season at NC State, not very efficient, but a new environment with the Aggies in 2025, rebuilt his draft stock. He is a human joystick. That's what I say. Human joystick. Great body control, amazing change of direction, great feel for space. All right. Great feel on where the defenders are. That leads him to being able to separate naturally. Very good yak ability. Very versatile. You can use him in so many different ways on the field, inside, outside. Amazing at yak. I don't want to call him a yak king. The Jets have been there with yak kings before. I'm not going there. But for real, he can beat press coverage with his quickness, and he can get physical when he needs to do that. This is really a Z wide receiver, as they call them. Fantastic with the ball in his hands, transitions immediately from receiver to runner. You know, he doesn't need multiple steps to get going. He goes. And that is important. He's also improved as a route runner quite a bit. Going against single coverage, he gains separation very well, gets a very good release off the line. And he also has 2 punt return touchdowns as well. Now, where he can clean things up, he can't block well at 5'11", 190. That's not surprising. His focus drops have been an issue. Okay, but other than that, his hand technique, his catch point control, it's pretty sound. But he needs to work on the drops. I'm not saying Arian Smith, but there are some similarities. He won't get a lot of contested catches either, but the explosiveness will make him special. I know, Scott, we mentioned the Yak King a couple years ago. I know, that's why I referenced it. Zibanejad ties the game. Rangers 2, Devils 2. Okay. I got him going late round 1. I could definitely see him going in the first round. Yeah, the rest of these guys, all first rounders. And as you can see as we go through this list, this is a very, very good wide receiver class. It's not like the Jets have to use it at number 2 or number 16, or they may not get a starter. They could definitely get a legitimate starter in the second round. Number 4, Denzel Boston from the University of Washington, 6'4", 210 pounds, 62 catches, 881 yards, 11 touchdowns. This is a player people either really, really like or really, really are not comfortable with. It's interesting. Boston's one of those polarizing prospects. But I can tell you a few good things. 20 touchdowns in 2 years. Plays with a lot of toughness, a lot of physicality, but a very good route runner and very good body control for his size. Fantastic blocker in the run game, which NFL coaches are going to just love. He brings value after the catch, an absolute mismatch in the red zone with a wide catch radius and very reliable hands. And that's important because you don't want a body catcher, you want a hands catcher. You want proof? I'll give you the proof. 4 years, 4 total drops. Pretty good. Now, he's not very twitchy. He's not a very explosive athlete, but he moves well enough for his size. And he's brought in 54% of his contested catch opportunities. So all of those things are very encouraging. So think about it. Top blocking, contested catches, very good hands, can return punts well if needed, won't create initial separation very well. And I'd like to see him engage a little bit more physically, but he has the profile of a future starting X receiver at the next level. I see mid to late first round in that 20 to 25 range for Denzel Boston. All right, then we get into the top 3. So if you know even a little bit about the wide receivers in this class, you know who the top 3 are. The only question is, what order am I going to put them in? Well, here we go. My number 3, I think this is worthy of a drum roll. Carnell Tate from Ohio State. That's right. I've got him at number 3, and we're going to talk why. Okay, 6'3", 195 pounds. In 11 games, 51 catches. Rusty, please calm down because I know as soon as I put that up, I got a feeling you would have an immediate reaction. But just, I'm here. Jets need a red zone threat. Scott Foster said, "Yep, absolutely do, absolutely do." So here's I'll tell you what I like about Tate and where I've got a little bit of hesitation. I know, Rusty. I know, man. 51 catches. It's all very close. 875 yards, 9 touchdowns, 6 receiving touchdowns of 30-plus air yards, most in FBS. And that is very good. Now, he was the third option in 2024 behind Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. but his technical feel in 2024 was not that great. He still had to grow. He was really a vertical threat and not much else. He wasn't very polished. 2025, he started to reinvent his game and became a really, really good route runner. Very good sync, good control of his body, good football IQ. He averages 17.2 yards per catch for this season. And he won 85% of his contested catch targets this year. That is really, really good. Now, here's the other thing. He separates very well, too. Multiple levels. He will win one-on-one. He can convert on clutch downs. What I'm a little bit worried about is his yak ability. Too often, I don't know if he quite has the explosiveness after the catch to get many more yards. Too many times, like he catches the ball and he's taken down pretty quickly. Now, I see him as a complete X receiver. I see him as a very safe pick. I believe he should be drafted in the top 15. I just think that the other two, their upsides are a little bit higher if everything goes as they should. But again, you could take any one of these at number 2, and I wouldn't be well. Again, I feel like where it is, I want to get the pass rusher. But if the Jets do believe in one of these wide receivers enough, okay, great. I'm not gonna fight any of it. So I would not, Billy, to answer your question, if they draft any one of these 3 at number 2, I'd be like, okay, I guess they really believe in this player that much, and they must have something in mind. I mean, my expectation is they will go pass rusher. They will go Reese. I fully believe it, Reese. Maybe Styles, maybe Bailey. If it's not one of those 3, I will be genuinely surprised. And then if that's the case, I mean, I could see them trading up. And I'd be okay trading up for any one of the 3 if they believe in them that much. I really would. I put it this way: you draft any one of these like top 6 receivers I've mentioned in the appropriate place, I'm not going to be mad. I'm really not. Like any of those 3, if any of these 3 fall to number 16, great. If they fall to like 13, I would consider trading up. I would 12 or 13, I'd be open to moving up if I could do it, because there are a number of teams that are going to need a wide receiver. The Giants, the Dolphins, we can go on and on. Okay. So I am not against trading up for a wide receiver. Number 2, Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. 6'1", 195 pounds in 9 games, 61 catches, 711 yards, 8 touchdowns. He sort of blurs the line between that big catch-dominating wide receiver and the smaller route runner. His acceleration looks almost effortless, beautiful in short areas, and the quickness really helps him get yards after the catch. He stays very composed. He tracks the ball downfield very, very well. He can make tight catches at high speeds. And I don't know if he is the most elite route runner just yet, but it is developing. And with his speed and agility, you can see the potential that he could separate very well in the future. Gets open in short areas very well, as I said, with his acceleration and his burst. What Tyson does best is he gets open when it looks like he's completely covered. It makes him, in the red zone, it makes him incredibly hard to cover. So even though he's 6'1", like you think red zone target, you might think 6'3", 6'4", but if you know how to get open, that can be more important than height even. He wins on 50-50 balls. He can outmuscle defensive backs. He finds soft spots in the end zone, makes the catch over the middle. I think, but the biggest question is really his health. He's never played through a full season at the collegiate level. When he played at Colorado, he tore all 3 ligaments in one of his knees. Okay, and now it looks like he's recovered from that, but still, that has happened. He's had a broken collarbone. He had that in 2024, sort of a fluky thing. Hamstring injury cost him time this season. But if Tyson can stay healthy, he is probably the most complete 3-level threat in the draft. I can see him as maybe a top 20 wide receiver in the NFL overall if he hits his peak. But I definitely have him going in the top 15. The great Sharon McClain is here. She wants Malachi Fields at number 44 overall. How you doing, Sharon? Yeah, we're getting trivia in just a moment. Hey, you know what? I've got him in round 3. Got a round 3 grade on Fields, but if that happens, hey, you know what? I'm going to trust that this offensive staff, that Frank Reich knows what he needs, and they're going to get somebody to counter Garrett Wilson, or to complement Garrett Wilson more appropriately. But yes, I'm definitely looking for some size and somebody who can win on the outside. And then my number 1 wide receiver, and we can debate it if you want, you can make very fair arguments for any of these three. I've got Makai Lemon at USC. 5'11", 195 pounds, 12 games, 79 catches, 1,156 yards, 9 touchdowns. The winner of the 2025 Fred Biletnikoff Award, which is given to the nation's top wide receiver in college football every year. A pristine route runner. His play speed is electric. His footwork is amazing. His body control is fantastic. He can create separation from nearly any defensive back that he needs to. He has very good tempo. He can beat you short. He can beat you medium. He can beat you deep. He will find soft spots, and that is so important with with this type of offense, which relies on intermediate separation. He can play inside, outside, a drop rate of just 2.5%. He plays with just incredible passion. He will snatch the ball away from his body in an attacking manner. He runs fiercely after the catch. Lemon just plays. He plays with control, but when he gets going, he plays with some anger, with some burn. I love that. I think he's just got that little extra oomph that I want on this team. But if you had to ask me what's his biggest strength, I think it's his ability to win 50-50 balls. All right, 50-50 catches. His timing, his body control, and his hand strength. All of those things. All of those things in my mind are what make him so good. Everything I've seen, bro. You're saying 5'7"? No, everything I've seen when I've done my research on Makai Lemon, it says he's 5'11". So unless he was playing in shoeless or something, 5'11" 1.80 meters tall. NFL.com. I'm going to go to NFL.com as well. Yep, just to make sure. 5'11", 192 pounds. So, so Lemon is 5'11". It's easier. Lemon's not 5'7". Lemon's 5'11". It'll be a song one day. So it's a Rusty. Stop it. But when I do my quarterback breakdown, I don't even know if I want to mention that particular name. You're talking about a guy who's turned me, who is like, oh my gosh, who has made me turn away. Oh my goodness. So the thing is, I think Lemon is just as good an all-around wide receiver as there is in this class. He can play, he can succeed in any scheme. I think he's that hybrid power slot, inside-outside guy who could really take the league by storm. So to me, again, top 15, we'll just see what certain teams want. So that is my breakdown of the top 15 wide receivers, really 19 since we threw in a couple of honorable mentions. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Billy SBC, Gary Coleman is taller than Pavi. What you talking about, Billy? All right, guys. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. All right. Thanks for hanging in. Yeah, thanks for hanging in. So now it's time for us to, now that we've done the analysis, we're going to have a little bit of fun. And next week, by the way, we'll break down another position. We'll break down a defensive position. My plan is to do 3 offensive positions and 3 defensive positions. I'm thinking next week we might do safety. We're going to do safety, interior offensive line, inside linebackers, quarterbacks, and I'm thinking edges, since that'll be – that last show, by the way, will be the night before the first round on April 22nd. So it'll be like our draft eve preview. So Wednesday night, you're going to want to be here for it. So I got to save the quarterback and edge for the end. I got us off to a good start with wide receiver. We're going to look at some other positions and, look for some of the under radar guys, with the linebackers and the safeties, guys we could draft middle rounds. But quarterback and edge, I'm saving those for the 2 weeks for right before the draft. So that is the plan for right now. Pavius tattoo. Z-plane. Man, that was one of the saddest. Hervé Villachez was his real name. Did you ever watch the E! True Hollywood Story, guys? His was one of the saddest. That was just a sad one. I think the 2 saddest E! True Hollywood Stories from back when he was actually watchable. It was Hervé Villachez and Ray Combs. I was a huge Family Feud fan when Ray Combs was hosting. 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock on Channel 9 getting home, I would always watch Family Feud. I'd watch Family Feud. I'd watch Batman, the old school Batman, Saved by the Bell, Charles in Charge, Family Matters, Full House. I'd watch all those. My TV routine was pretty much down from like 4 to 6 or 4 to 7 for years. I know Pavi was first team all SEC, but the way he's been handling himself, he just comes across as completely immature. Really. Yeah, I just don't have a good feel for Pavia. I can kind of deal with the wide receiver. I cannot deal with the quarterback. Nope. All right, guys, I'll tell you what. I think it is about that time. Every week, you know what happens, don't you? Every week, I head down into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge, and I bust open the books. I dust off the Glenn Cyclopedia. I pull up the Jets dark web, and I, Watch UK99, challenge you, the most loyal fan base of the most loyal fans in the National Football League. Just how much do you know about your New York Jets? So if you are ready, let's play Jets trivia. All right, so tonight's question, we're going to get into some draft-related questions. With the draft just 6 weeks away, I think it's time to start doing some Jets draft history. Notice we've got the old school airplane logo up there. I have updated the graphic just a little bit. So, some people love that logo. Some people hate it, but I like it. And for trivia, you know what? I'm going to go with the old school plane logo. So just for everybody, the plane. Rusty, I got a full-time job. I didn't have time to watch. I'll have to at some point, but I'm sure he's done many interviews in his career and in his life. So we'll see what happens. Yes, I did. Jennifer Runyon passed away. Yeah, that was sad news. Yeah, she was on the first sort of run of Charles in Charge with the Pembroke family before the Powell family came in, and that's the one most people know. When you had Josie Davis and you had Nicole Eggert and James Callahan playing the grandfather. Oh man, I love that show. Yeah, I love it. They used to have all the episodes on YouTube, but they got taken down. I don't even know if it's available for streaming, but yeah, I was a big Charles in Charge guy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't even know it was the last episode until the last episode aired. Yeah, made me sad. Charles Gorman's in charge. Well, it's really Charles' show. I just kind of represent him here. Oh man, Billy, you're eating some of those fruity flakes. Are you getting some of those in your stomping grounds? But yeah, rest in peace, Jennifer Runyon. Yeah, definitely very beautiful and she had a good character for sure. Yeah, on that show. All right. On that note, there's no good transition from death into this, but here's what we're going to do tonight for tonight's question. Now, remember, I put 5 minutes on the clock. I will track the 5 minutes on my phone. Your job is to put the answer or answers in the chat, and I will let you know if you're correct or incorrect. So tonight's question goes like this. Name the 2 draft picks of the Idzik. That should be fuck. I blew the question, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. I blew the question. Sharon? No. We're not. I try to not get political on the show. I really try not to, and I'm not putting that up. Okay. So, please. All right. So I ruined that question. I'm just going to give you another one. I'm going to put in the chat. But anyway, the 2 draft picks of the Idzik 12 who never played the game in the NFL. It was Shaq Evans and Taj Boyd. So that was a double click. So that is my fault. Okay. Here's another question. All right. I'm going to throw this in the chat. What quarterback did the Jets draft who played at East Carolina? All right. So hopefully this shows up. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to put that up there on the screen. All right. So let's do that question. The quarterback the Jets drafted who played at East Carolina University. Yeah, I've actually been to East Carolina in Greenville. It's about an hour east of where I live. Yeah, I went out with a girl who went there. That lasted, let me count, 1 date. Yes, 1 date and it was over. But that's okay. Scott Foster knew it right away. Rusty backed them right up. The correct answer, yep, it is Jeff Blake. Chat, you got this. This one didn't even last 30 seconds. That's what she said. Well done, chat. You guys knocked that one out of the park. Well done. Charles in Charge encouraged me to go to school out of state. Wow. I did because I went to the school my grandfather went to. And to be honest, I think they're trying to balance out the gender ratio. They're looking for more guys. So is that why there was only one date? She was nice. It was just like it wasn't that kind of connection. You know, it was lunch. It was just lunch. It was nice. I've seen her once, and it was just like you could tell. Some people are just incredibly, incredibly picky, and I just was not feeling that one. And it's okay. It's okay. If you're wondering, yeah, she was cute. She was cute, not a knockout, but yeah, she was nice looking, and she was nice company, and yeah, that's okay. No hard feelings whatsoever on that. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and spin the wheel. So let's see here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share the screen. Yep, Jeff Blake had a very good deep ball for sure. Was a good quarterback for the Bengals, no question about it. All right, which wheel? There we go. All right, it takes about 5 seconds for everything to show up. So let's go ahead and close that and minimize that. Okay. All right. Hopefully that's working. Yeah, I'll lower myself down here again. Yeah, just to make the wheel a little bit bigger. There we go. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is spin the wheel because which wheel are we going to do tonight? And again, thank you guys for your thumbs up. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it very, very much. All right. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel. Which one are we going to do tonight? In 3, 2, 1. Oh, chat, this might be up to you. All right, it is chat's choice. All right, so chat, I'm going to have to watch the chat. It is up to you. Yes, Billy SBC was Robert Blake who shot his wife. Yes. All right, guys, so pop in which wheel you want to do. Is it Jets 100, Jets draft classes, Jets offensive line, running backs, wide receivers, coaches, kickers, secondary, quarterbacks? Okay. Adam in Charge, about as funny, but no hot women. No. They're here. They just lurk in the background. They just don't engage with you guys because they've heard about you. I've warned them all about y'all. All right, so chat, yeah, let me know which wheel do you want to do tonight, and then we'll go and fire away. Belmont will hire Duke's Evan Brads as his next head coach. Euro Vikinen will not return. Billy wants to do running backs. Okay. 100, but reshuffle on every spin. Yo, crazy. Your camera's frozen. No, I'm here. I'm right here. You know what? I'm going to move. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the wheel to a different tab because I think when I do that, I don't have that issue. Okay. That should fix the freeze. Yeah. So if I another tab in the same group of browsers, it freezes it. But if I move it to a separate browser window, it works fine. Okay. Let's see. 100. Okay. I see safeties. We got a few more. I'll let you guys pop in whatever if you want to vote. But right now, it looks like 100's in the lead. In the lead. Running backs sound good, but I'm down for whatever. Okay. All right. Sharon wants to go running backs. Okay. All right. Let's do the running back wheel. All right. Here we go. So let's go ahead and they're asking me to log in. All right. they're gonna be annoying. All right. So this will just take me a second here. It shouldn't be a problem. And there we go. Okay. So we are good. And guys, for anybody who may be new, what we do, we've got a bunch of Jets running backs, some great, some not so great. And on this wheel are a whole variety of these running backs. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin this wheel 10 times, and we are going to blind rank those running backs. So if we land on Curtis Martin, chances are you're going to want to put him at 1. We land on Blair Thomas, you're probably going to put him in around number 10. We land on, say, I don't know, LaDainian Tomlinson, we might have a little bit of a debate. But then it is up to you all to put down where you want to rank that player, and then we will go ahead and do that. And at the end, we want 1 from the best to 10 to the worst, and we want them in order. Guys, yep, Scott, you already know what you're doing. Pick your running back. Choose your player. If we land on that particular player, then you get to pick where that running back goes on the list. And I think what I'm going to do while you're doing that is I'm going to pull up Jets running back stats. That way I have a few stats to reference. All right, Scott wants Freeman McNeil. Hey, Chris Bradigan, how you doing? Scott already got Freeman McNeil, so you're going to have to go a little different direction, unfortunately. Yep. So David's got Chris Ivory. Yeah, Chris. I'm sorry, I got to introduce you properly. Chris Bradigan. There we go. Rusty wants Adrian Morrell. Okay. I'm going to go with, just for fun, I'm going to say John Connor. Why not? The Terminator. All right, so let's do that. Sharon, Scott Durking. Okay, Chris wants Bilal Powell. You wanted that, so I would say Bilal Powell. I think that's what that was all about. All right, we can do that. All right, so I'm just pulling up single season record and career records. Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, guys, it is time for our first spin. So I just want to say Freeman, Ivory, Powell, Durking. I've got Connor. All right, I think that's everybody. All right, let's do our first spin of the night. And we are going to do that first spin in 3, 2, 1, spin. We may get the applause, so we have to get rid of that. And we land on hit. Oh. So, Rusty, you already got it right. Guys, believe me, if there was a way where I could update this, where I could have cheers for some and have boos for others, I would. But unfortunately, you can only do it by the wheel. So either everybody gets cheered or everybody gets booed or whatever the case may be. So, all right, Rusty, it is up to you. We have Adrian Morrell. Where on this list would you like to put him? And while you're doing that, I'm just going to pull up a couple of stats on number 29. If it will let me. There we go. Adrian Morrell, number 10 in Jets history with 3,447 rushing yards. He had 15 career touchdowns as a Jet as well. So, yeah. He had a good career. Wasn't here all that long, but had a good run. No pun intended. And at his peak, he had in one season, he had 1,249 yards. That was in 1996. Number 6. Okay. Number 6 is Adrian Morrell. And yeah, what the heck? Let's put it here in the comments too. That way you'll have something to reference also. Don't have to write anything down. All right, let's go to spin number 2 in 3, 2, 1. Yep, Grandizer, Johnny Johnson. Thank you. I was going to add Tommy Thompson or whatever, but Rusty wants Leon. Okay, you got it. And we land on, Michael Carter. Oh, boy, what could have been there? Yeah, I always felt Michael Carter was capable of just a little bit more than what we got. Carter is 26 on the Jets' all-time rushing list, 1,079 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns anyway. And maybe the highlight of his Jets career, he did score a few touchdowns, but his most memorable moment might have been his draft video when he was drafted out of, North Carolina, right? But yeah, was with the Jets for 3 seasons before spending the next 3 in Arizona. And, he did play 13 games this past year, so he is still hanging around. But first year wasn't bad, 639 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's really been his best season. So, to me, Scott going rough on him. Man, wants to put him all the way down at number 9. Wow. Yeah, I don't know if I go quite that. Yeah, Rusty's agreeing. 9 for Michael Carter. Wow, okay. All right, chat. Yeah, let your voices be heard. Oh, guys, we got some news. This is good news. This is really, really cool. Mike Westhoff, the Jets special teams coordinator for so many years, is getting the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Award of Excellence, which honors significant contributors to the game. He will be, I don't know where this is, feted, June 24, 25 in Canton. His quote, "I couldn't be happier or more proud. It's pretty damn special." Awesome. Yeah, I love Westy. I mean, how could you not love Mike Westhoff, right? Westy is just he's clearly the best at what he does. Nobody else, right? Nobody else. I read his book. I got it was a very advanced piece of reading. The only thing I did not like about the book is that he took a shot at my guy Chad Pennington. I didn't like that. Other than that, I love the book. And you also have to kind of know football terminology when he starts breaking down plays and things like that. Like, I got to be honest with you guys, I never really played organized football. That's how I pick up games with my friends, but I never played in a league. So to me, when he was talking about certain terms, I got to be honest, it was over my head a little bit. Am I on the? Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure I'm not freezing. All right, Sharon's going with an 8. All right, I guess we're leaning. We're going to go 9. All right. Yeah, I'd have gone 7 or 8, but Michael Carter's going to be our number 9 running back. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's go to spin number 3, 2, 1. Oh my God. Here it is. Chris Brannigan, you're up as we get Bilal Powell. That's right. So this was also a number 29, as I remember. Bilal Powell, number 8 on the Jets all-time rushing list, 3,675 yards. Was with the Jets from 2011 to 2019, had a long run, 15 career touchdowns. Kind of active on social media too. Was never the team's featured back, but was always there, was always reliable, and you were always glad you had him. I'm not going to say he was a special player, but he did spend his 9-year career with the Jets, and that does mean something. So, Chris, it is up to you. Where are we going to put your boy? Your guy, Bilal Powell. We've only used spots 6. No, we can't do 6. Adrian Morrell's at 6. So, yeah, so we got 6 Morrell, and I'm going to type it 9 Carter. So, do you want to go 5? Do you want to go 7? So Adrian Morrell's at 6, Michael Carter's at 9. Where are we going to put Bilal Powell? Preview A&M over Lehigh. Okay, hopefully nobody bet on that game. Of course, we're going to put him at number 5. I think that's fine. I put him over Adrian Morrell just for the longevity of it. So I got to do this right. Okay, here we go. Number 5. Here it comes. Bilal Powell. You have to forgive me. I miss Ray Lucas doing the post game, guys. What do you want from me? Okay. All right, let's go to spin number 4. Chris, if you want to take another running back, let me know who you want. Let's go to spin number 4. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we're going to land on. Is it going to be Carter again? Yes, it is. So we respin. That's the risk of it. You got the risk of respins. And we land on Thomas Jones. All right. Well, he may not have spent his peak years with the Jets, but he definitely had a very good run. If you look at single season, 2009, Thomas Jones, if you look at the top 11 rushing seasons by yardage in Jets history, you know Thomas Jones has 3 of them. 2009, 1,402 yards. That's 4th. 2008, the year prior, 1,312 yards. That's 6th. 2007, 1,119 yards. That's 11th. That's pretty good. And then all time, Thomas Jones was only here for 3 years. This is really cool. Here's a stat. Thomas Jones was here 3 years. You know he's number 7 on the Jets' all-time rushing list, 3,833 yards. He's ahead of Powell, Bill Mathis, Adrian Morrell, Sean Green. Breece Hall's catching up, but Thomas Jones got to number 7 in just 3 years. 28 touchdowns. So Grandizer 5.5 put in there. Okay. I think 4 is appropriate. Yeah, he wasn't here very long, but he was very good when he was. Yeah, I think there's certain running backs that we can get who we could put above him. But yeah, definitely Thomas Jones was a very, very good Jet. Okay, and then we keep going. Let's go to spin number 5. So we filled up spots 4, 5, 6, and 9. Thomas Jones at 4, Bilal Powell at 5, Adrian Morrell at 6, Michael Carter at 9. Where are we going to land next? Let's spin in 3, 2, 1. And we go from one Bears running back that went to the Jets to another. We get Matt Forte, who actually I think just spoke at my old church last couple weeks ago, which is pretty cool. So Forte was only here for 2 years, 2016 and 2017. 1,194 yards, 9 touchdowns, 25th on the Jets' all-time rushing list. Let's see, did he have like one season that was really good? I don't know if he did. Yeah, 2016, he had 813 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaged about 3.7 yards per carry. So definitely not what I would call a great Jet. I would put him on the same level as some of the other players that we talked about. Yeah, he just finished out his career with the Jets. 2 seasons, 26 games. And was it 26 games? I think it was. Yeah, 26 games. 1,194 yards, 9 touchdowns, average 3.7 yards per attempt. So yeah, he was okay. He was okay. Scott wants to go 8. I go 7 maybe. I could go 7. It's not like he was bad. He just wasn't here long enough, you know. That's my thought. You know, only 2 fumbles in 2 years. That's pretty good. Yeah, but that was kind of that rough stretch, just as you know the. Right after the Fitzpatrick team failed and things were starting to go downhill. So, yeah, it just was not a good time to be a Jet. Not that it's often a good time to be a Jet, but that was like the beginning of the end for us, wasn't it? 7, yeah, I think 7's appropriate for Forte. I think so. Put it this way, guys. We got 5 more spins, and we still have the top 3 spots open. So hopefully we'll start hitting it pretty good here. Yeah, somebody's going to be worse. Yeah, Rusty, I think you're absolutely right. All right, so that's Matt Forte, spot number 7. So we got to fill spots 1, 2, 3, 8, and 10. We got to get Freeman. Yeah, we got to get Curtis. Yeah, who else are we looking for? I mean, Ivory. I would be hoping for Ivory, Boozer, Snell, maybe even Riggins. So here we go. We got to start hitting some home runs. Oh, and we land on a player who we landed on with our first spin, Adrian Morrell. Let's respin. Now you see, this is what I'm talking about right here. Emerson Boozer, Super Bowl champion, Emerson Boozer. So at his peak, so Boozer and Snell were really a tag team. Like Boozer didn't have the biggest seasons. Like the most yardage he ran for in a season was 831 yards. So that's not a ton per se. What was the most touchdowns? He did have 11 touchdowns in one year in 1972. He had 10 touchdowns in 1967. And on the Jets all-time rushing list, he's number 3, 5,135 yards. So, yep. So, yeah, was with the Jets from 1966 to 1975. Right now we're thinking the number 3 spot. Yeah, I don't have any issues with that. Yeah, but played from 66 to 75, actually. His whole career was as a New York Jet. Made 2 Pro Bowls, one in 66, one in 68. I can't put him at number 1. I can't quite go that high. I think 2 or 3 would both be appropriate, but yeah, it looks like the chat's in uniformity on this one. So Emerson Boozer. So he gets spot number 3. All right. So we've got spots 1, 2, 8, and 10. So let's do a quick recap. Number 3, Emerson Boozer. Number 4, Thomas Jones. Number 5, Bilal Powell. Number 6, Adrian Morrell. Number 7, Matt Forte. Number 8, blank. Number 9, Michael Carter. And number 10 is blank as well. So we don't want any, 5 threes. 5 threes in a row. This is a Yahtzee pick right here. I like that. Yahtzee. There we go. All right. So what we're going to do, we got to hope for some greats or some busts. We want Ring of Honor or we want Ring of Shame. Here we go. Spin number 7 in 3, 2, 1. Like, I don't want, Brad Baxter or Scott Durkin right now. Okay. And we're going to land on LaDainian Tomlinson. Or is it going to get to Boozer? No, it's LDT. All right. So this is going to be a tricky one. Now, he was not here all that long. He was here for 2 years, 2010, 2011, 1,194 yards, 7 touchdowns. Did score a couple of playoff touchdowns, as I remember. I know he scored one against the Colts, and I believe he scored one. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns in the playoffs. Right? Yep, he did do that. So, yeah, played 29 games as a Jet, 1,194 yards, 7 touchdowns. 4.1 yards per attempt. He was part of a tandem, and it was where he was going to really finish his career. So LDT, we've got 1, 2, 8, and 10. It's tough to say that he was worse than Forte. It's hard, but, I guess we could play devil's advocate and put him there. I can't put him above Boozer or Jones. I know, yeah, it's not, yeah, so. And I don't say LT, I say LDT. There's only one LT. So, all right, yeah, I think that's the right spot for him. I can't put it this way. I don't love Forte being over him. Yeah, Scott, I agree. Can't put him at 2. I don't love Forte being over him, but they're very close. But I feel like Tomlinson's playoffs. But I can deal with it if these other 3 fall into place. All right, so that's kind of what I'm feeling. All right, we got 3 spins left. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Is it going to be Forte again? It is. All right, so respin. I know this wheel can land on Curtis Martin. I know it can. Are we going to get another repeat? Yep, we sure are. We have 3. You know what? Here's what I think we need to do. Let's do a little shuffle here. Here we go. There we go. That's right. Now we got the Johnnies together. Hector and Johnson are together. Hector and Johnson Law Firm. We specialize in personal injury. Don't call us. We'll call you. Johnny and Johnny Law Firm. And are we going to land on a Johnny? Oh, we landed on Johnny. Johnny Hector. Okay, so on the surface, I don't know quite how exciting it is to get Johnny Hector on the wheel, but I will say this. Had 10 touchdowns in one season for the Jets, had 8 in another. And if we go by career, well, actually, how do you do in yardage? How do you do in overall yards in a season? Where does he rank there? Because he was a Jet for years. Not very impressive. Okay, if we go by career, Johnny Hector is 5th on the Jets all-time rushing list, 4,280 yards, 41 touchdowns. Did he play anywhere else other than the Jets? I don't recall seeing him in another uniform. No, played his whole career. 83 to 92 with the Jets was, was a good running back. I wouldn't necessarily call him a great running back. He never had more than how many? Actually, this is pretty good. 1987, he led the NFL in rushing touchdowns with 11, and the next year he had 10. So that's pretty solid. And by the way, if you're running 87, they only played 11 games. So, yeah, so 11 touchdowns led the way. But, yeah, I mean, he played from age 23 to age 32. So, yeah, you want to put Hector at 2? All right, I'll roll with it. Yeah, I'll do it. I don't know, guys, if we've ever had a wheel where the last 2 spots we had to fill were spots 1 and 10. But that is the situation we find ourselves in right now. We need the best and we need the worst. Like, I want Curtis Martin and Blair Thomas. That's basically what I want. Okay. I want like Freeman McNeil and Le'Veon Bell. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Or Roger Vick would work. Looks like we needed just a little more oomph. Matt Forte, so we're going to respin again. A lot of respins tonight. And we land on, Roger Vick. Oh, Sharon, it looks like you almost had it. And that would have been a tricky one. But I'll tell you what, getting Roger Vick, I got to tell you, I think that is about as good a pick. That's a pretty good one. So I'm going to pull up the stats for this guy. Was drafted by the Jets in 1987 and drafted out of Texas A&M. Was an absolute first-round stiff. Was with the Jets for 3 years. Averaged 3.6 yards per attempt. Had 9 touchdowns in 3 years. Had 12 fumbles to 9 touchdowns. Okay? That's bad. That's really bad. Oh, man. Had 2 receiving touchdowns. All right, I'll give him that much. But still, the guy had more fumbles than he had touchdowns, okay? So, yeah, Roger Vick is an absolute 10 and not in a good way. All right, so 2, Hector, 10, Vick. Rusty, this next move will be historically bad or great. Yeah, I feel like, I could see that happening. All right, guys, let's recap the wheel where we are. Number 10, Roger Vick. Number 9, Michael Carter. Number 8, LaDainian Tomlinson. Number 7, Matt Forte. Number 6, Adrian Morrell. Number 5, Bilal Powell. Number 4, Thomas Jones. Number 3, Emerson Boozer. Number 2, Johnny Hector. I really want to land on Matt Snell. It would only be appropriate, wouldn't it? So, guys, I want to say this. Thank you for hanging with me tonight through the wide receiver analysis, through the news, through the 3 and out, through the trivia, and through the wheel. And it all comes down to this spin number. It feels like it's spin number 50, but it's really spin number 10 for wheel purposes. And we are going to spin it in 3, 2, 1. Scott, the wheel's been selling without a bust. Roger Vick was a bust. And we land on Sean Green. Sean Green, I would definitely put him in the top 5 on this wheel. If we look at the I'm going to pull up the single season stats for Sean Green because we know he was one of those running backs who just kept getting better as the years got, later on. So he is number set for single season. He had 2 1,000-yard seasons, 8 touchdowns 1 year, 6 touchdowns in another season. All time, he's number 11 on the Jets rushing list, 3,423 yards. He had 18 touchdowns, which has him tied for 11th. Actually, Sean Green and Breece Hall both have 18 touchdowns. So Breece very well could be passing that mark quite soon. So that's quite interesting. So I got to be honest with you guys, though. If I'm being, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen right now. Let's go ahead and get out of there. I'm looking at this list. Roger Vick at 10. I'm good with it. But Tomlinson behind Forte, I don't know. Johnny Hector over Emerson Boozer is tough. But Sean Green over Hector, Boozer, Jones. it's a good wheel, but can I say that? But I feel like I've just got to take a few too many liberties. Guys, deep down, if I'm being real, I don't want to have cheap wheel wins, because you can't have cheap wheel wins. You got to earn your wheel wins in life. I should have a bumper sticker. You got to earn your wheel wins. So, guys, I hate to say this, but as far as the wheel goes, yeah, it wasn't bad, but deep down, I can't quite call this win as much as I want to do it. I got to give it the thumbs down. So, because we didn't get the 1 through 10 ranking as we wanted. Okay, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. Thank you again for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate it. Come back next week. I think we're going to break down safeties. So now I'm going to be in Virginia Beach this weekend. I got a 5-mile race Saturday morning. So yeah, definitely wish me well. Like I said, I haven't been able to train the way that I want. So yeah, hopefully this race goes well. But I will make some time this weekend to do some research about safeties and have my list ready for you next week. So with that in mind, everybody, have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your week. Don't let the Jets ruin your life. And I will see you all right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Good night, everybody.